So when the Bible says that we're made in God's image, you know, there's a lot tied into that. It ties into your value system. You know, so many people are trying to get value out of this world according to who they're plugged into, connected to, according to what they have, status, titles, trophies, money, accolades, all these other things, attributes. But, you know, before Adam and Eve sinned in the garden, before they ever sinned, they were free as a bird. They were joyful, blissful, peaceful. All kinds of great things were coming to them, and like abundance. They were living in abundance. In a nutshell, abundance, both internally and externally. Okay, now they still had to work. I want you to take note of that. They had to work because God told them to take care of the garden. Okay, so shrub, whatever, like, just think of that. Think of tending to a garden. Okay, and how that's labor. God's not against labor, ladies and gentlemen. He's very much for it. Why? Because it keeps you humble, and it gives you something to be proud about when you are finished with a job. In the book of Ecclesiastes said that one of the gifts that God gave us was to be able to, you know, kind of plant and then look at the work of your hands, or whatever it is. Whether you built a house, whether you had something to do with building a person, right? You edified them, you built them up, and there's reward in there where you can look and say, wow, look at that young fella. You know, I remember when he was going in this direction, and I'll look at him. And I pulled him aside and I talked to him, and I poured into him, and I'll look at him. Like, there's reward in there, but that's labor. And, you know, I believe we're going to be doing stuff like that in heaven. I don't think that heaven is just going to be laziness and just lounging around. You know, I think that there's going to be work to do, because God is not against that. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. People are going to be serving one another in heaven, because that's what it was meant to be like here on earth. Imagine if everyone had a servant's heart, a servant's mindset, where if you saw a need, you just jumped in. You didn't even think about it. Imagine if everybody on earth had that mindset and that heart set, right? Just the servicehood. I'm not even going deeper than that or beyond that. I'm just saying, if that was the only, because Jesus was the model and the representation and the example for us to live by, and that was one of the things that he just showed to the world over and over again, is that he was a king of kings, came down to earth, and he didn't come to be served but to serve. If that's the leader, how much we, the students or the sons, or the student, are we supposed to follow his example? So again, that hasn't changed. That will never change. That is the same. Just like Jesus never changes, that is the system, so to speak, the product of what works in life. There's certain things that don't work, like communism, socialism. It doesn't work. We know that because we tried and tried and tried and tried and tried and tried, and it doesn't work. So at what point do you get to the point where it's like, no matter how much you tweak it, that system doesn't work? As a matter of fact, God works through the system of reaping and sowing. Whatever he says, if you put down a lot, you'll get back a lot. If you put down a little, you'll get back a little. You say, for the lazy people, even the little that you do have will be taken to you and given to the people that have a lot. That's God's system. Sounds a lot like capitalism, by the way. Because this is about character, and this is about how bad do you want it? How hungry are you? What are you willing to do? You know, are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to do this, that, and the other? Then you're going to reap. And the people that want to watch TV and social media and not do anything, well, you're going to reap too. A little bit, if anything at all, according to what you put in. And it's really that simple, guys. So you go to the gym, and you'll get out of it as much as you put in. Right? We see these proofs and these evidences all around us. If I go to my backyard and I start to pick up, the backyard will look as good as how much I did labor at. If I wanted it to look pristine, I'm going to spend the most time back there. If I wanted it to look perfect and just immaculate, then it's going to take me a lot of time and attention to detail in order to get that place super spotless and beautiful and perfect. Because that's the goal. Likewise, we will reap what we sow, right? As much as we put in, that's how much we're going to get out of it. So Leaving that there and moving on, the video is about how Adam and Eve, before they sinned and ate of the forbidden fruit and listened to the wrong voice, the stranger's voice, and left the ways of God, how they were living in prosperity and abundance and just in joy and peace. And that's the goal for everybody on earth. They want that life. But notice what they had and what they didn't have. They had the concept of God. They didn't have the concept of anything other than God. And that was brought to my attention as I was meditating on God. It was brought to my attention that a single eye on God will bring abundance. A single eye on God is all you need. It will, your whole vessel will be full of light. Your whole vessel will be full of what the treasure in heaven looks like. Right? Just by focusing on Jesus, just by connecting yourself to him, just by making him your worldview and everything about it, you'll be surprised. I remember when I gave this a test, a couple years into my salvation, all I did, and I kid you not, when I say all I did, there was nothing else. All I did was Jesus, and there was nothing else, right? Nothing else. There was worship, there was the Bible, there was evangelism, there was time with God, and my wife was left out. She would just watch me like on my knees day and night, and she would be like, there wasn't a lot of room for her. There wasn't a lot of room for anything else. It was just God. And I don't remember if I was working at that time or not. I remember I had a lot of time on my hands, and I was just giving every last bit of me to God. I would have you to know, and this is a nugget for those that want to get their life on track and those that want to like take off spots, wrinkles, blemishes, take off regret, shame, guilt, condemnation, all that stuff off of them, break chains, all kinds of stuff. By just spending time with God. By spending time with God. Don't miss this. Everything came in alignment for my life. Everything. Every single thing. Things that I dealt with, voices in my head, mental illness, all kinds of... Did you know, I mentioned it in many of my videos, I was diagnosed manic depressant, psychotic, bipolar, and schizophrenic. All four. I have the prognosis from the doctor's letters in my house, in a folder. It's documented, right? Because that's what drugs do to you. And so I did a lot of drugs for a long time. So I destroyed my temple internally, right? And I had no direction, no filter, no nothing. I had no nothing. I didn't grow up going to church. I had no nothing. I had the wrong concept of life. But by spending time with God, that means I went to church very frequently. I remember I was going like 3 times a day. I lived over there in church because I was so hungry. But remember what I was talking about, sowing and reaping? Well, because I sowed so bountifully into God, I reaped a brand new life. Now I've been in this walk for 15 years now. I've seen people that take it easy, put a little bit of God, a little bit of the devil, a little bit of everything in this world, and you a lot of them, you can't even tell they're a Christian, right? They're so worldly, you can't even tell. I've seen so many different types, and the Bible talks about this. He says that they're special, just like when you enter into a person's house. They have the paper plates, they have the plastic plates, and then they have the china, the plates that they never get used, that they're put into a place, that they bring it out on Thanksgiving and stuff like that. And it's like, these plates, you better not mess them up, because these plates are expensive, and we bring them out once a year. Likewise, you have different qualities of people out there according to what they plug into and connect. You'll extract value from them. A valuable person is one that most people need. If everybody needs you, you're very valuable. Whatever it is that you carry, you have value to you, right? You gotta walk the fine line between who's gonna use you and abuse you, etc., right? Because you have those people. I know women that they're very giving, always pouring out, but they're exhausted, they're tired, they're not joyful and blissful. They're actually run down, and everybody pulls from them. I need this, I need that, I need this. And they're just running around. My mom is like that. And God bless their soul. They're so good, but everybody kind of takes advantage of their goodness, right? So one of the things that we got to acknowledge is a need from a want, and understand, value your time, and value, kind of like, being busy doesn't mean being fruitful, right? Only because you're busy doesn't mean it's fruitful. Anything that's connected to the vision of God is going to be fruitful. Anything that we try to force and make happen through manipulation or through striving, this and that, I would say, just check in with God, and let God lead you, because that's a recipe. I wanted to make the video just reiterating what I said earlier about when God is all that Adam and Eve had. When God was all that they had, everything was perfect. Like not just within them, but no animals were killing animals. Everything on earth was perfect. And so if you take that to your worldview and like just live your life from a standpoint of God being everything, you can have a conversation with a person. You can treat people according to that, of God being everything to you, and you will notice how your personality and everything changes, just because God is in your mind and in your heart while you're talking to somebody, as opposed to what you could get from them, as opposed of being skeptical of who they are and what they're going to do, etc. No, having God in your mind and in your heart, seeking first the kingdom of heaven, like, heaven's got your back. Heaven's got your back. Don't worry about what they're going to do or say or this or that. Like, people are going to be people, but lead by example, just like Jesus led by example. He invited a Judas into his clique. Like, he knew that he was a devil from the get, right? But this is the thing, like, Jesus didn't treat him less than. Throughout the whole ministry, everything that the disciples got, Judas got as well. He got fed, he got water. He just decided in his heart, I'm not going to follow you. I'm going to use you as a crutch. I'm going to use you to get to where I want to be. And I'm going to ditch you. I'm going to forsake you. I'm going to renounce you. That's where Judas was at in his heart. But at the outside spectacle, this is why we have to be so careful with religion. Religion looks like doing a bunch of good works, but their heart is cold towards God. So we got to pray those prayers. God, man, filter my heart out, like, of anything that is weeds, chaff, evil, manipulation, anything and everything that doesn't represent you or your kingdom. Take it out of my heart. So I'll leave you with that, guys. God bless you. God is all you need. Okay? I didn't say religion. Hopefully you know the difference. God, Jesus. Just spend time with him, and you'll see how light starts to invade. And the more you do that, okay, over a period of time, day and night, every day, the more you do that, all your problems get resolved. That's the beautiful thing about it.